Well, 2020. Good times, right? Yeah, no, not so much. Not for many. Um, Definitely changed my life. Um, I don't know where to start, so I figured I would just start maybe some self journal videos and maybe later splice them into clips or something. I don't know. So, my story didn't start in 2020, but it definitely derailed in 2020. My story started in 2018 when I very suddenly lost my mother. My mother was an antiquer all of her life. When I was young, it was something that she enjoyed. Auctions, flea markets, garage sales, flipping furniture, collecting nostalgia. And as time went on, when I left home, a very independent 15-year-old, she didn't handle empty nesting very well. So as the years went on, she tried to find ways to fill her time, which was more antiquing, more estate sales, more garage sales, and more auctions. Eventually, she bought an old farmhouse and started putting things out in the driveway and meeting other people that were like herself and collecting nostalgia and whatnot. And that wasn't giving her enough. So she eventually found an antique mall. I'm going to call it a mall. It's not a mall. It's I think it's called the Village of Shops now. It used to be called the Antique Co-op in upstate New York. I'm in Rochester, New York. She had a booth at the Antique Co-op, and she loved the life, and she loved the world, and she loved the people, and it became a part of her to the point where she expanded to 3 booths. And that's what she did to fill her time. And then the economy tanked around 2008, 2009, and people weren't buying stuff because people were broke. So, long and short of it, she eventually ended up losing her booths at the co-op. They let her stay there for many, many years without making booth rent because she had been there for so long. They were really, really good to her. But eventually, it is a business. They needed the space, and they packed up her booths for her and offered to deliver them to a storage unit until she could get her passion up and running again. So 2 storage units were filled. As time went on, rather rapidly, depression from not being in that world anymore, and the loss of her mom, she turned into a bona fide hoarder. That is our dirty family secret. Point of contention for a lot of decades. Very rough on the family. A lot of children of hoarders, they don't turn out okay. They have a very, very rough time. If you are one of those and you're watching this video, I've got some support groups for you. It can be done. You can survive this. So fast forward to 2018, and I lost my mom very suddenly. She had fallen in her house. I had a feeling that something was wrong. I broke into the house. She had been down for a couple days, ended up in the hospital. They did scans. They saw a mass. They thought maybe she had a stroke. Turned out it was a stage 4 glioblastoma brain tumor, extremely aggressive, and she had very little time left. She also had very little personality left. So my mom went from a 73-year-old stubborn, feisty woman to a toddler. She knew her daughter, me. She knew my voice, and that was it. She didn't remember that she had 7 cats in her house. She didn't remember her house. She didn't remember that her antiques and her things had come before family for so many years. And I had to make decisions for her that I had given up doing many years before. I learned to accept my mother for exactly who she was. It didn't mean I had to like it. So I did not visit her home very often. She always came to my house. She didn't have running water. She didn't have gas, so she didn't have heat. She lived like a pioneer woman with only electric, and she was very creative. And anybody from upstate New York knows that it gets very, very cold here in the winter. So Mom would pack up what little space she had in her vehicle, and she would spend her time at my house in the wintertime, going back and forth, feeding her cats that were here and doing things to make sure that the cats were warm and that the cats were okay. Kind of lost my train of thought there for a second, but it's emotional, to review it all. I've been over this story so many times in the last 3 years. It's now February of 2021. I lost her in April of 2018. So I've been at this for a while. And once I accepted that inheriting the hoard was my journey, things got a little better. I struggled for a while trying to find the balance between my life and my aspirations and my dreams and my goals and my hobbies and my pastimes that were fulfilling my life, to taking on this mountain that feels like the biggest mountain in the world. I committed mentally to a 5-year plan. Year 1, that was rough. She had 2.5 storage units that she had been paying for almost 12 years. The first one, the half of one, was very easy to empty quickly because she was not managing space in the other 2 very well. There was a lot of ceiling room in one of them, so some shifting relatively quickly, and in one weekend I could get it down to 2 storage units. Now that was a whole other animal. The house was inaccessible. There's a side door, a back door, and a front door. The back door was completely barricaded. The side door was completely barricaded, and the front door would only open 1.5 feet. So between working on the storage units and working on clearing a path in the house and working on focusing on getting water turned on so that I could get the toilet replaced and use the facilities here and any company that I would potentially have come in to help me clear the estate, they would have facilities to use. That was my focus in the beginning. And then I'll fast forward and fill in the details of that first year later. But I eventually did get all of the water pipes replaced, new toilet put in, water added, and at that point need to heat the water or the pipes will freeze. So that happened in the spring of 2020? No, 2019. And then I focused on gas and trying to get the gas turned on. Came and did a pressure test. Pressure test failed. So all the gas pipes had to be replaced. So then in my head, the gas hasn't been on for, 12 some years or whatever. So need to clean the vents before I turn on the gas. So I started working to uncover the cold air returns and the forced air returns in the house so that, I could have somebody come in and get it cleaned. Had some amazing friends stop by every once in a while. Even one person showing up to lend me a hand was amazing and appreciative, and it makes me want to cry just thinking about it now, because I don't think that those people realize how much they lifted me up during those times. So I am an only child. I have no siblings. Any of my mother's family, they went off years and years and years ago, decades ago, living their own lives, cousins and things like that. Dad's side of the family, same thing. They're all, living their lives or whatnot. But had some amazing friends come and help me when they had some spare time. Just the muscle was great. So once I got the ducts cleared, I called the heating company, and they said that there was asbestos-like material on the ductwork, so they couldn't touch it. So I did all that work, and then, I couldn't have them cleaned anyway. So then they came through, they did the pressure test. Pressure test failed, had to have all those pipes replaced. Had all those pipes replaced, created some air filtration doohickeys, if you will, so that when the furnace would get turned on, it would, the dust would go into a filter in all of the vents for a while until I could feel comfortable that, I'm not breathing in horrible air. So fast forward to now, I'm in year 3 now. And this was the year, this past year was the year to start grouping things together and bringing in an estate sale and work to unload the stuff. Like I said, my relationship with my mother was very tumultuous. There's a lot of tension there, but she was my mom. She was my best friend. So when it came down to it, she lived for 52 days after I found her down, and without her personality in her head. So it was a healing time for me to recognize her as a flawed human being, just like all of us are, rather than, being angry. So I really feel like that was a blessing from a higher power to have that time to just start to heal in order to take on honoring her life, because that's essentially what I'm doing. If I decided not to honor her life, I would have just pretended I didn't know anything about the house and let the city eventually just come and take it, and whatever happens, happens. But it's a 6th generation home. So 1880, this house was built. My grandmother was a child in this house and was raised in this house. My great-grandparents moved into this house when they were very young, from Germany. And our family has been here for 141 years. And there's a lot of memories and history, and it's just, in order to close that chapter, I need to honor it. And because my mom's passion was nostalgia and finding value in objects, that's what I'm trying to do. Stay tuned for part 2.